Hello and welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind, where we bring you professionals who share insight into the latest trends, tips, industry, technology, and services to help you create more videos to use in your mortgage business. For those of you who are joining us, hello, welcome to another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind. So I've got people hopping on. I'm going to see if I can stream. We might just put up the recording in a minute when we're done. So, Carl, welcome back. It's always good to see you.
I love America. What can I say?
Don't we all? My son just got back from Stockholm. He was there for a business trip and stayed on a couple extra days. And
nice.
I said, could you live there? And he said, I could stay there for maybe, 3 months, 6 months, but it is not. Oh, David logged into another one. Okay. So David's here. Dave, I'm going to make you a panelist. He must have used the other link, which is fine. So now.
What a great picture.
I should be able to. Okay. And we've got David coming on. So yes, always good to be back. And, Carl, I had sent you a message yesterday. You guys are doing such a great job helping people to be able to put together a marketing strategy, think about what they're doing, and really navigate through what's happening right now. So
we just bought your book and we just tear out a page at a time and copy paste.
That is not true.
Life works pretty good. And then we look to see what David's doing and we copy paste.
And that's a lot of it. So thank you for all you're doing. And I think a lot of people, when we have a change in the market, like what we're going through right now, it's time to surround yourself with people who are there to support you, and it's hey,
that's why I'm here. I'm just being honest, right? So it's look, we all feel the changes and we are who we hang out with. And I'm just looking at the three other squares here, and it's a nice group to hang out with.
Yep, definitely. So I invited David on, and David, I know, condolences to you. I know your father passed over the weekend. So thanks for hopping on. I know I said, you don't have to completely understand. So I appreciate you taking time to join us today.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's, I think, for me, it's the sense of normalcy, just trying to keep things in as much routine as possible. So, so that's good. And I've got my 16-point checklist of all the stuff I've got to do to, to take care of for my dad's situation. So, crossing things off the list. So just making sure everything gets handled, and the services will be next week. So, anyway, so we're just trying to keep the people still need to buy houses and refinance houses. And as much as they might say they care, they don't care, so much, right? It's, can you help me? So I'm trying to make sure, that we're keeping things on track and on schedule, and, the team's helping with that as well, certainly.
So, and the mindset for that, and we talk about a lot of different things here when we do our weekly call. Sometimes it's about strategy, sometimes it's about technology, but sometimes it is mindset. And so, just as you said, hey, market shifted, people are still, wanting to buy and sell, and you have life happening, right? So sure. How can you manage that life set, and what are the things you do? And one of the things I loved, you held up your list, is to do that, right? As far as making a list, and to do that as well.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing, obviously, every day we're faced with challenges, maybe it's, you get a flat tire, maybe someone passes away, or you get a divorce, right? And, hopefully that's not because you're working too much, right? And, if so, then go watch all the stuff on the Freedom Club about teams and things like that. And that'll help to keep you married. But life happens, right? Things come up, and it's about how you handle those things. And, one of the, the post that I had put out recently was about life being a gift and a challenge, and that was something that was shared with me by my wife's boss, who unfortunately passed away a few years back, and that was just a quote that he imparted upon me, and I've used it ever since. And that and it's been a spot of heaven, right? Every time he sees somebody that he liked, he'd shake your hand and say it's been a spot of heaven, and so that was always a cool one too. But life is a gift and a challenge, and you just try to keep things in perspective, right? And you control the things you can, and then you enlist the help of others when there's things you can't control. And thankfully, I've had friends calling me to help out with that kind of stuff. And I've got my team is actually making dinner for me tonight. So I was like, hey, what about the Johnson loan? Well, okay, well, hold on, we got the pot's boiling over here. We'll get to that one in just a minute. It's not closing for another 3 weeks. We got time. So
Nice.
anyway, so that's kind of what that's what it's all about, right? Is calling upon those around you, whether it be in a personal situation such as mine, or in a business situation, right? I mean, if I'm stuck somewhere, and Scott, I know I owed you a phone call. We were communicating via Messenger there, and obviously I got a little sidetracked, so I didn't reach back out to book a time to chat with you. But that's what it's all about, I mean, as Carl had said, you partner. You are, the sum of your friends, right? And those around you, and together everyone is stronger and supportive, and it's just, it's a good feeling to have a community like that. So no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about, and I love the quote that you talked about from your wife's boss, talking about life is a blessing and a challenge. And, Carl and I, that's one of the things in the leadership planner is starting with a quote like that. And so people are always wondering at a time like this, and I always get a question, what should I be doing videos about? That's a great video to do, right?
Sure.
Just to be able to start with a quote and go into what that means, because people are looking for leadership. They're looking for some directions. And honestly, I think people are looking for some positivity right now, because there's so many other things that are going on, and God forbid you turn on the news station and watch anything for a little bit of time there. So what other things are you making videos about right now? And maybe not this week, but I know you do a lot with video.
No, great question. And first off, let me just say that I clearly need a lot more stuff on my wall behind me, looking at Ginger's wall there. So I need to do some decorating and get some accolades up there. So what am I doing videos about? Something that I started a while back, and I was putting videos on Facebook and recording them and just dropping them out there. And then I was like, I should probably catalog these and put them in some sense, like a library basically. And so I started dropping them on YouTube. Now, by no means am I, any good at it per se. I don't have thousands of views or whatever the case is, but I'm starting to build a library in YouTube. And so I just did one today on inherited properties, right? So that was something. Now, thankfully, my mother's still alive. I'm not inheriting a property, but it got me thinking, there are other people in similar circumstances who might be in a situation where they might be inheriting a property. So I created that. I did a reel on Facebook and dropped it out there, put I think a minute or two reel or short, I guess, on YouTube is what it's called. And I'm going to drop a 2.5 minute, longer video onto YouTube as well. Once I make it look pretty and do some of that, like, hey, here's the little pictures and all the fun little graphics that might possibly get somebody to stop the scroll, right? Because that's a big part of it, is people are going through that that material.
So fast.
Yeah, exactly. So it's got to jump out and catch them. And if it's just me, they're going to keep on going, so they need to have something that's going to grab their attention. So I'm going to try to doctor it up a little bit, which again, you guys are the experts. I'm a novice, certainly, but I've done a little bit of that in Canva. There's different places you can go. And otherwise, I mean, I'm just really, as clients ask me questions, and that's part of what I have on my email signature is, hey, here's the link to my YouTube. You might find some of the answers to some of the questions you have, right here. Please check it out, like, subscribe, whatever. And oh, by the way, if there's any questions you have that think might be beneficial for, for the rest of the world to have answers to, please let me know. And so I've had a few people have come back, or real estate agents have responded, and they're hitting me with questions, and as a result, I'm trying to do at least one a week, that I'm trying to push out there, and in some cases perhaps more as those questions arise. Right when things happen, like the Fed action, what's that going to mean? What's that going to do? I think on that one, when I put that one on YouTube, I got, I don't know, a couple of hundred views on that one, and
have you done one on a buy down yet?
I have not. Well, not that I put on YouTube. Now I did one that I emailed out to about 1,000 real estate agents. And then in that, it was a bomb video that I did, which I had a ton of views on. And then I embedded a mortgage coach video in the message, click on the link for the details. So there's been a lot of people watching that as well. And a few of the agents took the video that I sent and put it on their Facebook, and I had, calls generated as a result of that, asking about it. How's this work? And I'm sure most of the people are aware of how it works, but it's a win-win-win, win, right? It's a win for everybody, a win for the market, because you're not, butchering the values of the houses, right? A win for the seller, because he's getting, top dollar for the house and not having to make a major drop like that. A win for the buyer, because, hey, you're getting a much lower rate, which is going to benefit them over time, and certainly a win for the real estate agent, because you're not, again, dropping the price and taking a lower commission. So it's an all around winning strategy for people. So yeah, but I've had very good response on that. I have not done that video though for YouTube or Facebook specifically. But I sent it out to about 1,000 real estate agents, maybe about 1,200 in my group. And then I also sent it out to 700 and some past clients as well, just going, hey, if you're thinking about selling your house, this might be a great strategy, for you to consider. If you're in that mix right now, this might be something that would benefit you and keep a little more cash in your pocket. And I think the scenario that I had offered in the mortgage coach analysis was a $40,000 price cut compared to an $11,000 buy down of points. So, hey, you're going to keep $29,000 more in your pocket. Does that make sense to you? Well, if it's me making the decision, that would certainly make sense, and I would hope it makes sense for most people. And if I remember correctly as well, and you guys might know better than I, it used to be IRS code 9427, but they've changed the code, so I don't have it memorized anymore. But it was IRS code 9427, said that if you buyer or seller,
geek. Oh my gosh, I love it.
So regardless of who pays for the points, that it's deductible, was my understanding, I believe, for the buyer. Is that still correct, guys? Is that?
You're talking to the wrong person here. Scott's the person.
Yeah, definitely.
Carlo, I don't know. It sounds good to me.
Definitely talk to a tax professional, but yeah,
bring them in.
I believe you're right. It's tax deductible, as well as it's not part of the high cost calculation, the non-QM calculation, because it's bona fide discount points.
Right. There you go.
Why not bring in, to your point, bring in an accountant and,
sure.
Do a video about that. One of the things that you talked about is I love put your in your signature, and in my coaching call with my group I did yesterday, it's like, put in your signature, follow me on YouTube, subscribe to me. I've got the resources. And YouTube is a great source to send them to. What we've started playing around with some of our clients is taking the videos that they've made and put them into an online university along with some other content that we have, and creating a housed place. And then we're starting to co-brand it with real estate agents too. So, thinking about, and I love all the things that you're talking about and leveraging, but, you've got it on YouTube, which is great, and sending them there, but capturing all of it and putting it together to where it becomes a resource, and leverage it to give to like your real estate agents and co-brand as an online university.
Okay.
And we've just started doing that. We did one with Chris Schwartz on a certification thing for real estate agents. And it's like, hey, let's move this to consumers. So I love all the different things that you're talking about as far as First of all, putting them onto YouTube, absolutely 100%. Should always do that. All the different reels and things like that. You're obviously very tech savvy. And for a lot of people, you're talking about Canva, which I know Scott and I love Canva. I know, Carl, you and your team love Canva. But sometimes for people, it's like almost too much, right, to get started in that.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you recommend as far as getting started? Pick one, just shoot a video, put it on everything. What works for you, and how are you kind of timing yourself out to do it?
Yeah, sure. A great question. And, if I were a better business person, I'd have someone doing most of this stuff for me. Right. So that would be ideal. Right. So in theory, I'd hire somebody to help do all the, behind the scenes stuff and push it all out there. I have not, at this point, hired anybody to help work that angle. It's just about making things non-negotiable. Right. So my non-negotiables are, I've got to, drop out a video, at least one video, a week. And frankly, even when I was out, the last 3.5 or so weeks, almost 4 weeks, I've been literally moved into my parents' house, helping to care for my father, which has made things, a little bit taxing, but I at the dining room table had 3 monitors set up, so between things, I was able to, to get a little bit of work done, and I was creating videos out there. I'm sitting under the oak tree, and I would just drop a video answering a question, and it was, but making things non-negotiable, right? So it's going to be, hey, the DSP, that should be a non-negotiable thing for anybody who is, certainly going to be really committed to success, right? Keeping track of their leads, that's going to be a non-negotiable. Dropping at least one good business video out there should be another non-negotiable. This morning, part of what I did is I went through, Facebook always gives you the birthday list, right? So I went through and commented on all the birthdays, and then the ones that I missed, happy belated. And then the ones where I, felt I had a personal relationship with them, I recorded a video, and dropped him a quick video. Hey, Scott, just wanted to say happy birthday, man. I'm sorry I missed it the other day, but I hope all is well. Love you. Reach out if you ever need me. Boom, 12-second video. And I've dropped, a half dozen of those videos out there today. So it's all about being top mind aware, right? It's been said a long time ago, the loan officer with the most friends wins. I don't know if Carl still believes it, but at one point he told me my superpower was that people like me, so that I'm a friendly guy. So I try to make sure that comes across. And I know that, I'm fairly good at what I do. I've done this for a long time, somewhere shy of 29 years and, somewhere 4,000 or so mortgages, but I try to keep the mindset always humble, always hungry. Right. Because I know that, there's always somebody out there, better, smarter, and that I aspire to be. I'm not the guy on the podium, with the Olympic medal, saying that I'm on the top of the world. So I just try to keep things in perspective.
That's because you're too busy writing loans. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, some people
are taking all the credit, and some people are actually out there closing loans. So,
yeah, I'm trying. Well, I will say that it was looking pretty bleak for my July, and what did I do? I picked up the phone and made some phone calls, and then I popped in a dozen or so loans where I had very little on the board with all the activity going on, and I just hunkered down, and in a couple of days I booked all those loans just by picking up the phone and making phone
Dave,
calls.
do you when you do your videos, do you do like one at a time, or do you kind of like I got an hour here, I'm gonna knock out like 3 or 4 at a time? Like how do you do it?
Great question. And I'll tell you what my intent was. What my plan was at one point is I literally got 6 or so shirts, and I brought them into the office and I hung them on the back of the door. And I said, I'm gonna knock out all these videos, and I'll just change the shirt every video, and I'll just burn through all these videos. That never happened, right? Because I just got busy doing other things. So at this point, I'm just doing one video, at a time. Actually, I did at my parents' house. I hijacked a few of my dad's golf shirts, and I did, 2 or 3, out there back to back. But generally, it's just, in the morning, I'll think about, something that I think might be beneficial, and I just do one at a time. And it might take a take or two as I'm fumbling over my words or saying, hey, that doesn't sound quite right. and just drop it out. So I did the one this morning, and I had the one that I did the other day, Ginger. I used one of your home ownership videos. It was a quick one that I dropped out there, and that was very well received as well. So I had a lot of activity on that one as well. So and people resharing and posting that, I think, also. So
resharing. So that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize when you put that content out there. And we've seen this time and time again, how often videos get shared as opposed if you just have the written text. And we've tested it on a lot of different, different topics and things. And so tell me about who's sharing it, what they're sharing, and, what you're seeing in terms of that, what gets shared.
It's just, if something, really hits the real estate agent and they think it would be advantageous for them to push out to their audience, then they'll share it. Right. So, and sometimes they'll come to me directly and say, would you mind if I share? Well, yeah, please do. Heck yeah. Share away. So they'll share. And then I always try to make sure I go in and make a comment, on the share, hey, thanks so much for sharing. If anybody has any questions, please reach out to me directly as well, or whatever the case is. So I will share some to different groups sometimes that I'm plugged into as well, right? So the one I did this morning on inherited properties, I've got a few groups, for realtors, and so I dropped it in there. Hey, real estate agents. Well, if they inherit a property, the first thing that one of the things they may consider is selling the house, and that's where you'd come in. But if not, the video that I put out there was targeting a rate term refinance versus a cash out refinance, so that was the context, however, if you got people that are inheriting, if they don't want to sell it, and you can't sell it for whatever reason, and they want to refinance it, here's some tips. So, so that's it. I mean, the whole key is obviously you want to get something that is short, in my opinion, easily digestible, that they can then take and then push out to their, to their database. And I'm,
what?
Go ahead, Carl.
I was going to say, one of my favorite things, like coming up with topics. I know I used to struggle a lot with that. And I went, well, why not answer what people are asking? And so I do a couple things. Number one, I belong to various groups, and I looked at just to see what questions, like go to a home buying group or home investor group, and just look to see what kind of questions they're answering. And frankly, a lot of times I'll look at the answers other people are giving. I went, man, that's a good spin on, I was kind of doing it this other way. That's actually like, Scott's answer better than the way I've been doing it. And so I click the video, and a lot of people asking thing I saw a question about. And, one way that we're approaching over here now is answer that Scott gave,
Sure.
And the other thing I've done, and I just did it to see if it was still there, is like I'll go to the FHA home buying page, for the HUD site, and they got an FAQ right there. It's got like 121 FAQs, and I'll just simply read the question and read their answer, and
I'm writing that down over here.
Yeah. And same thing. VA has a website, that has FAQs. Fannie, Freddie. And just nice and simple short little things. And see, I don't even change shirts. I just wear a black shirt, right? So I never have to change. I think
keep it simple.
I used to change them, and now it's like I popped out 4 videos this morning. I'm heading out of town tomorrow. I need to get this done. It's like I ain't changing. Guess what? They're probably not going to pay attention.
Yeah. Look, anybody that says, Carl, isn't that the same shirt you wore April 21st when you did that last video? It's like,
right.
Whatever I'm saying is not interesting enough. If that's
exactly.
Well, wasn't it? It was an somebody. He had all the exact same, shirts or suits or whatever the case is. I mean, that is one of the secrets of success, right? Is to eliminate all those small decisions that people have to make. So keeping it black, you're eliminating those decisions. So that just shows you're uber smart.
And if anybody's going to watch more than one of your videos, they're definitely not worrying about what you're wearing.
Yeah.
They're engaged in whatever you're talking about.
Good point.
I had a couple of comments on this. Well, the first one with the inherited property, this would also be a cool interview or class with a probate attorney.
Yeah.
right? So maybe probate attorneys to talk to them about that, maybe send that to them, ask them if they have anybody that is trying to figure stuff out. Also, the thing that I think we always miss is that, because especially you, David, you've been in the business for so long, we take for granted everything that we know, but consumers want to know the absolute most simplest thing that you probably forgot. You've forgotten more than most consumers know, and they want to know the really, really easy things, like the very basic steps. There was actually a really good, I'm going to put this in the chat box, Ginger. I don't know if we want to put this, but Radian just put out like a 3-page report on first-time buyers, Gen Y and Gen Z. And it delineates like the things that they want to know about and where they're going. And YouTube by far was the number one spot. It was in the mid 90% range of any social platforms where these demographics are going to get information. And one of the biggest topics that they wanted, well, there was a bunch of lifestyle stuff. So these generations, they want to know about you. And I didn't see your video on the inherited property, but that's kind of an opportunity to explain why you're doing this video. And that really resonates with consumers. And I think it's important that that's part of our transparency and our vulnerability when we're creating videos is, hey, I'm going through this. And while I don't wish it on anyone, it really brings these things top of mind. And I want to make sure that anybody in this situation, you're going to create an emotional, you're going to bridge an emotional, a trust bridge there that you're not going to get just by talking about guidelines. But that report that I dropped in there has some really interesting insights on what those demographics are interested in. But quite frankly, what's a debt to income ratio, right? How is my income calculated? All of this crazy stuff. What credit score do I need to qualify for a mortgage? As mortgage people, we're just like, that's a dumb question. But for anybody who's never bought a house before, that's a really, really important question that they don't understand.
And life Scott, events too, like you going through. I love that point, Scott, of saying, hey, I don't know if you're going through this. And obviously, there's people that are in that situation where it's like, yeah, I'm going through this. What the heck? I would have loved when my dad passed away, my mom a year later, and totally unexpected. And so I would have loved to have somebody say, here's what, you need to think about, because even though I'm in the industry, there's so many options and there's so many different things.
And here's the thing about that is nobody is going to accidentally run into that video and nobody's just going to see it on their timeline at the right time. They're going to search specifically for that content. So they are typing in, what do I do with my parents' home? I just lost a parent. What do I do with the home? Or do I have to pay taxes if I inherit a home? Stuff like that. And so they're typing in very specific questions. And that's the beauty of content and that's why I love what you're doing, David, with your library. Because when we post on social, it has a very, very short timeline and it's interruption marketing. It's interrupting people looking at pictures of Carl in Paris, right? I know that's what I was doing on Facebook all last week.
I bet you were.
And it's like, and it's like, and you ignore those things. So having your content in a place where when people are doing these searches, and when you see that report that like 92 to 95% of Gen Y and Z are going to YouTube to get questions about qualifying for a mortgage, that's, you need to be findable. And so that's why I love what you're doing. You're completely on the right track and you're totally on the right path. And it's tough though, because you don't get feedback loops right away when you do that stuff. Right. But you've got one line in the ocean, and every video you do, you're putting another line. And the thing about it is they never get taken out. They're there perpetually. So you're just continuing to build on that knowledge base, that library of work. And man, you've got so much information in you, that consumers are just absolutely dying for. And if they're lucky enough to know you and connect with you, they get that information from you. But yeah, it's, when we talk about motivation, it's not easy. You think you have to have all these things in place, but I don't think we put ourselves in the shoes of people that want answers to those questions. And it's kind of our responsibility to get out there and help them answer those questions and answer their business. And I don't know if you find this, but what I found is when I would do a video or an article or something, I found that I was constantly sharing those while I was on a phone conversation. Somebody would have a question, or I would meet somebody and I would say, you know what? I did a video about this. Let me shoot this over to you and see if it answers any of your questions. And that goes as well for your team. If you have your team, you're the guy with all the information. So if they have access to your YouTube channel, leverage your experience and have them push it out there to their consumers.
Yeah. And I have done that a time or two, and as I get more content in the library, that certainly is going to be something that I need to make sure everyone's doing. And I will share, it's funny when I saw because I clicked on the Radiant thing you had mentioned there. I'm almost embarrassed to say that I've got 2 daughters and a son. The son currently has no interest in buying a house, but he's busy trying to conquer the commercial real estate world. My oldest daughter is a nurse, and my youngest daughter, who's 17, was talking about buying a house already as well. Now, the funny thing is, my 24-year-old daughter thought you needed 20% down. Now, I don't know how in the world she thought that, because with me doing this all day long and me talking to people all day long and her listening to conversation, she probably just tunes me out. But it's just I was like, oh my God, no, you don't need 20% down. My gosh, you could do it. You could do it right now. With what you got to make.
I mean, it's amazing. So and there's tons of surveys on it. Radiant's done some surveys. There's a couple of other ones, and I've seen them recently where it's like a staggering amount, like over 68% in that age group think they need 20% down. So something that we're like, no, you don't need 20% down.
Yeah.
Like really? Yeah. And what is mortgage insurance? And why do you need it?
Sure.
I mean, stuff that we're like,
Well, and my youngest daughter stumbled across some online calculator and said, oh, it's cheaper to buy than rent. I'm like, well, maybe, possibly so. Tell me what you saw and how much were you seeing? Well, it was a $200,000 house and the payment was like $400. I'm like, yeah, okay. That's one of those online calculators that is complete garbage. Exactly. Yeah. So that's so far off. And then she and I had a conversation and on the basic math of it, but that's what consumers are seeing, right? And without the knowledge, without the proper guidance, right? Without the pilot in the plane or the bus driver to get you to the right destination, they're going down the wrong path, right? They're lost in the woods basically, or just swimming in the ocean. So
yeah.
Anyways,
I love it. Well, listen, Carl sent a note. He had a podcast he needed to hop onto to record. And so we're at the beyond the top of the hour. We could honestly probably sit here and talk all day. Are you going to be in Tahoe?
No, I don't think so. No, I've got, I had not signed up for it partially because of what was happening.
Right.
What was going on. I just didn't want to take a chance of, timing wise.
Right.
It just wasn't good for me. So I will not be in Tahoe.
Yeah.
So, but I'll be on the lookout I'll be on the lookout for all the notes.
Yeah, we'll be sharing that.
I'm actually doing an extensive, I'm doing a presentation on seller buy down, and I've got an extensive resource library of slide decks and scripts and everything. I'll make sure I get it shared with you if you're not going to be in Tahoe.
Yeah, I very much appreciate it. And coincidentally, I sent out an email today to my sales staff and said, seller buy down. Read this material. Let's start talking about it. Let's visit this conversation next week. And so that's certainly top of mind for me right now. So I would definitely appreciate it.
Very
Very
good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you hopping on and sharing what you're doing. Our thoughts are with you. Take care of yourself, take care of your mom. And we're not going to be around next week. We're going to take next Wednesday off, Scott, just so you know. I'll let Carl and Frank know too. So Scott, I'll see you in Tahoe. And the rest of you, we'll see you on another episode of Mortgage Video Mastermind. Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Bye.
Bye.